Hello everyone. Try to get a quick video in. My son is down for a nap right now, so I was going to go ahead and pick up where I left off with the model. So this is where I had it last time. Looking pretty good. Got a good number of muscles in here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and with the, well, I guess I should break up the point or the goal of this new section. Since we have the body kind of already laid out, and we already have all of our primitives and stuff, is I'm going to actually, the first thing is duplicate this body, so I'm going to keep a copy of this. Then I'm going to Dynamesh this body together, and then I'm going to be able to start sculpting on top of that, and then also Boolean out and cut out things like nostrils and the nose and smooth out the body and start putting in stuff like skin wrinkles, skin details, things like that. So that's going to be my goal for this part. So I have a duplicate right here. I'm going to go ahead and go to geometry, and let's do Dynamesh, and we'll click on Dynamesh. Okay. By default, it's set to 128. So that's fairly low resolution. We just want to take a look and see what that gives us, what we're looking for. If not, if it doesn't, if it kind of ends up getting rid of some detail or something we don't like, or say if you have fingers that maybe get, Dynamesh together, what we can do is raise the resolution and run a Dynamesh again. Okay. Back up. However, I think 128 is perfectly fine for what we're doing right here. I don't necessarily want a heavy model at all. I really want something that's pretty light. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and with this, I'm just going to go and lightly start to smooth out these lines. Not everything, just lines that need to be smooth. I don't want to be anything up there. So basically, we're kind of moving out of the muscular system, and we're kind of just making everything look like skin. So we're going to have places where there's going to be folds in the skin, wrinkles in the skin, places like that. Really focusing on doing that type of thing. So we're still going to be having that muscular structure we built. It's just going to be a little bit smoothed out. I'm just going through with a smooth brush. And I'm just going to lightly go over. I'm just trying to smooth out the mesh. Yep. It's going to be smaller features. You don't want to go too heavy with the smooth because then you'll lose the, especially some of these large muscle groups and stuff. I'm not still wanting to do that. Especially with that. Alrighty, going over it just like that. Let's go ahead and open up this jaw a little bit. Go ahead and start modeling the inside of the mouth. Let's see what that looks like. The way I'm going to approach that is I'm going to use a balloon to actually cut the inside of the mouth out and give us essentially a place for it to like a hollow space, essentially. So I think what I want to do is go ahead and get hopefully a mask off. I'm going to do a freehand brush. So where that line I put in here, I'm going to follow that line. And this is going to be my I'm going to fade that. Just have a fairly soft fall off. This area right here is the one that I want. Just going to kind of fade off this a little bit. That's going to fairly hard in the jaw. Right through here. So I'm going to invert that by hitting Control and tapping here. So that. I'm going to get my move brush. And what I'm going to do is unlock it, reset the pivot point, create the orientation of the pivot point, and then I'm going to move it to right up there. Okay. And lock it. And actually mask off just a little bit more. Invert. And I'm going to focus. Maybe an issue right there. Looks like it wasn't. Some of this area is not completely masked off. I don't need to open it very much. I just need to open it enough to where I can kind of see where the stretching is with those faces. How that is going to basically tell me where the line needs to be. Essentially, so I'm going to kind of smooth this out. Smooth this out. And this is my approach for most mouths nowadays. It works fairly well. The Boolean keeps things fairly clean. In order to do that, I'm going to create a cutter. There's going to be the Boolean sphere. Okay. This is going to be the shape of the inside cavity of the mouth. Inside cavity, and then I'll probably have on the inside cavity, and then like I said, I'll probably have something that would cut in between the lips. So I'm going to go and take that. Pull that out. And it's okay if it cuts through this area. That's perfectly fine. It just needs to, just don't let it cut through any part of the mouth that doesn't need to be cut through. If that makes any sense. Okay. So this is going to be referred to as a mouth bag, is what we're creating. Kind of a weird name. You see how we're kind of positioning it back down the esophagus. That is important. So we can actually create a decent shape for this character to. So basically, the character opens. It's not cookie. It's not like a Cookie Monster thing, where the mouth is like a Muppet, where it's just kind of going flapping all around. And another sphere. And I'm going to cut in a second. It's kind of a neat thing to see. This is going to be cutting through the mouth itself. Ghosting off. It's off. And we're going to go ahead and turn on subtraction. And I want to go over here to live boolean and turn on live boolean. Okay. So see how we kind of have this hollow cavity now. Right. So what I can do, I can basically manipulate where I want this to be. And just so you know which one's cutting and which one's making, or basically which ones I'm affecting, is I'm selecting the cutters, which are these guys right here. And you see basically the lighter areas where I'm cutting through. And I'm going to give myself a fairly consistent lip width. Okay. The other one. I'm basically just going to cut away. Just cut away, and I can smooth this as well. Where I get essentially that jawline the way I want it. The shape here. I gotta get polyframe on. To be honest, I think I probably need a little bit. So there we go. I just changed the material so I can see the topology just a little bit better. And then just using the move brush, and through it just very gently. And just getting that lip line back to where it should have been when I put it back where it needs to be when I was sculpting. And so this will be kind of the membrane in between the top and the bottom jaw. You watch like Jurassic Park or something, you know what I'm talking about. Just push. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit thinner. Check it width all around, make sure it doesn't get too thin in any one spot. This one. I think that'll work. Just a little bit. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn off the eyeballs. When I'm running a Boolean, I only have on what I need to have on that I want to be added to the Boolean, the final Boolean. I'm going to go ahead and click here with the arrow. That's going to say start. That's going to be the first starting mesh. Then everything else you can follow along after it. And then everything else that's turned on is going to be added to that balloon. It's a calculation. If you run into balloon, it says it can't do it. Probably because you have a mesh clipping through itself in some way, shape, or form. Usually if you run Dynamesh, you'll kind of fix it. So let's go ahead and with this one selected, go down here to Boolean, make Boolean mesh. Give it a second. See it's thinking. Okay. There should be a mesh now sitting right here. So you'll see that we have this new subtool sitting right in there, and that's great. That's exactly what we want. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my old mesh. I'm going to go append. I'm actually going to go ahead and append the new meshed item into here. So I have this in my stack. I'll also go ahead and show you just kind of a little sculpt, kind of mocking of what I was kind of wanting the head to look like. So that's kind of what I was playing with. We might still go in this direction. Oh, cool. All right. Back over here. Turn off my cutters. Turn off that original one. Turn on my new one. There we are. All right. First thing I want to do is let's go ahead and run the Dynamesh. I want to run the resolution up just a little bit. The reason why is because the inside of the balloon is going to be kind of a little messy. So let's smooth this out just a bit. And I'm going to want to do, I was going to run zero mesher, but I think I'll wait. Let's go ahead and sculpt a little bit. So I'm going to go to my clay for build up. And let's just kind of start sculpting in some nice features. One thing to be aware of, you'll see right here is I'm sculpting. So it's kind of pulling in from the other side. These thin areas, basically text there's sculpting going on them on the other side, and actually pulls through. Right? Kind of messy. A little bit. Is on this particular brush, so I actually will not save this on every single brush, but if I go with this particular brush, I'll go into brush, auto masking. That's nice. Okay. Let's see that. That's sculpt through, which is really nice. I think I feel I can pull. The one is the feature that kind of can thicken up the face a little bit. That's really too thick for my taste. So I'm actually going to take that jaw. It's like not really cheap, but I see it like in a normal T-Rexes. They have like that. Kind of come right there. So I'm going to take the muzzle, move it back a little bit. Have it just a little bit. Just going to play around with some proportions. Let's try to say which we need to talk about. Just broaden it a little bit, make it look a little bit more aggressive. Bring that jaw up a little bit. Stick on a little bit. Kind of gets really clean with that. Clean that out. Make sure you guys roll around your mesh when you are reviewing it. Look surprise issues you'll run into or issues you'll see you'll need to fix. Not just going in and looking at things. I can need to kind of that line a little bit. That lip line right there. What I'm going to do is take the high polish brush. Just kind of go along the edge right there. Like that. and start maybe putting sculpting some features onto him. Here, turn into a repeating large horn or scale, similar to this guy. It has a kind of saw blade hook right there. And maybe something along the back, or maybe not, I'm not sure yet. There we go. Just kind of bringing it together. Can you look at there on the front end, maybe a little sharper. Maybe a little high polish. Let's change this to let's do flat white. Cap white. What is that? Okay, that's what I did. That cap white is good, so I can use it to see edges a little bit better. So I'm using that polish brush just to kind of sharp up the edge. And this is really just going to kind of follow the shape of the muzzle. Line that out. That's going to kind of fall in between the nostrils. I'm going to control. I'm just going to rotate it subtly as I go through. There we go. See from his cut here. It's not too bad, just a little bit. And then actually making a gum interior of the mouth, which I clean up a lot of that. And then there we go. Snip them in here. Pop the brown ones out. Let's go ahead and polish. Let's smooth this out just real quick. Here, I'm just going to polish the top of it lightly. Get the sides. So the point of this is you see it's kind of reinforcing this bonier look that it's kind of wanting. These are super kind of form-like in a way. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Just a little bit. A lot of weight going on here with the head kind of pull the head back, just pull the skull back a little bit. Just with a little bit more mass on that skull. And do the same thing. Yeah. Maybe that neck face. Did it right there. We'll get up just a little bit through here. Using the clay builder tool for this. And really any of the clay tool we do for this, but just gonna fill this in. So it's kind of needs a little bit thicker of a head. And knock over to damn standard. And here just kind of a little indentation of where the head is going to actually bend. I think I may go back and narrow this a little bit. I see that really character sculpting is when you're playing around, there's a lot of just kind of push and pull on the design and just trying to figure out what you like aesthetically as an artist. That's just how it is. the indentations of where the monsters should be. Put that in there. Okay. We don't have a lot of faces really to work with. We'll run a Dynamesh. Just a little bit. I think I just need more faces, honestly. I'm at 1.3 million now. So let's scroll just a little bit more. Go to 5. Oh, I don't think so. You know what? In this case, let's go to geometry and divide. I'm just going to divide the mesh. Have a subdivision level. Let's go to what is doing standard. I feel like they have like little flaps or something that shut out or close. I just ran down a mesh and I lost my resolution, so I'm going to actually up my resolution on the Dynamesh. I'm going to run it. I'm going to lose my subdivision level. And screw it, goes back up. We'll just keep the subdivision level for now. I'm kind of jumping back and forth, and the reason why is because I'm not entirely sure if I'm done with heavy changes on my form that would necessitate a Dynamesh sculpt or a Dynamesh edition. You know what? We'll go with this, and we'll just once I start doing the scales, I'm definitely going to be stuck. I'm going to be a little bit less wiggly, a little bit less wiggly how I kind of dance around. Well, we can maybe go and start doing some scales. So just real quick, turn on balls. So when it comes to scales, kind of how we could approach it is we could look at it a couple different ways. Hand sculpting scales versus doing hand sculpting scales versus doing something like with an alpha, where we can kind of just brush them on. Brushing them on generally looks fairly good. The only problem being if we're going to be using an alpha, we're kind of at the mercy of the alpha. We can make our own alpha, but we're kind of having to go with what that image is. Now, if it's an image we want to go with, yeah, then that's perfectly fine. Okay. So I kind of do something in between where I will do a little bit of hand sculpting, and then I'll do some alpha work with scales. So let me kind of show you what I mean when I'm talking about like brush on scales. So if I go to my standard brush, and let's say I do a drag rectangle, if we go to an alpha, we have these alphas here, but these are literally just 2D images. You can use any number of images you can find or create on Facebook, or not Facebook, on the internet. I guess Facebook might have some. But you basically drag on or brush on texture. Okay. Pretty useful. You just need to be able to find the images you're looking for to create that to create that alpha, or have the understanding of how to go into Photoshop and make it yourself. So I actually have a collection of alphas that I've collected from the internet for about 10 years or so. And let me see if I can find them. I'll show you what some of them are. I have a bunch of these. Let me see if I can see. Stores, partners. Yeah, I think it is the okay. All right. A lot of these have come from websites, like literally Zbrush's website has a section for alphas, or you can go to a website called Badking, Badking. They actually have a bunch of alphas for free. And you can also just go on Google and look it up and see what you can find. So let's see, this is one that says scales. And so you'll see like there's like images, and a lot of these are photographic images of scales that you can bring in and use. So if I'm going to bring in an alpha, I'm going to go alpha, import, and I'm going to get my folder. And let's do, okay. So let's just do a few of these. So bring in some of these. So I got all these that are open right now. All of these are pretty cool. So kind of like this skin one. I'm going to go fairly light with these. A little too light. So you see it kind of creates an interesting look. But do understand that that's pretty low resolution out there. That doesn't look too good. So you need to have a high resolution mesh in order to kind of effectively demonstrate that texture. So, I'm up to 22 million of this right here. You'll see now it actually shows the image much more clearly. So something to think about once we get into doing skin details. So if I spray it, it kind of sprays the whole thing over. It's a good idea to kind of combine a few of these so they kind of mix together, and you have like different attributes and stuff for each one of these. Let me change it to a drag rectangle. Let's see, the drag and skin one. Works pretty well. Like I said, I tend to do a little bit of a mix of both of these approaches. So we'll talk about that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and actually, I'm going to go to just a clean build up. And I'm going to go to here. And I'm going to start putting in what I call future scales. And then we'll just fill in scales in between. So I can look up some of the reptile scales. Especially on things like lizards, crocodiles, and iguanas, will have kind of a consistent patterning of scales. So like this snake right here, you'll see has a pretty consistent pattern. Like it doesn't change until you get like around the belly, which maybe that would be good for doing, you know, an image. But if you have something that's a little bit more complicated, let's say this crocodile, he has larger scales that are kind of unique. And so I refer to those as like feature scales. And those might be better off being hand sculpted. So these larger kind of rounded scales, you see how they're kind of sitting in a seal, like there's more or less consistent, solid pattern. Feel like a feature scale with some scales around it. Sometimes for like an iguana, see how the pattern, you have a kind of consistent pattern here, but then you have like the pattern completely changes up here. So it wouldn't be the worst idea to kind of like pay attention to what you're trying to create. You know, it's like I said, the pattern just changes. It changes consistently, and really depending on what species you're even trying to go with. It's a really beautiful pattern right there. So this is what I'm going to be working on. It's just kind of like sketching out these types of patterns. And then once we get to like the body, I'll find an image and like fill it in more, and we'll go a little bit quicker. But this will take a little bit of time doing those kind of details. So I'm going to go with that. It's just kind of uneven and good to me. All right, let's jump into it. When I'm doing details, I tend to go for a lower subdivision level. I can start kind of seeing it and getting it, you know, come down a little bit, and then I will work my way up in detail on subdivision levels. Start around. Just gotta make sure that we're right. Like the mask is all good. So I'm just gonna start lightly kind of going through like sculpting in. So I'm not gonna go hard. I just wanted to get an impression. And so with a lot of those lizards, all of their scales around the mouth are kind of square shaped. So I'm gonna go with that one right there. I'm gonna go basically with that. I think I'm gonna go with a little bigger scale. Actually, you know what? Maybe let's go over game standard. And we'll just go and turn on back face mask. Just make it just a little bit thicker. I'm getting a lot of division. With this, I'm going to jump up in subdivision level. Maybe the issue with the lazy mouse. Get back to it. Yeah, it is working kind of. My computer's having a little bit of trouble, so I'm going to back down to 5. A little bit of trouble keeping up, so I'm a little bit quicker when I. Jump back to 22. We're going to create a little bit. I'm going to control shift. I'm going to go to select rectangle. And I can just selectively and only show these faces. And I'll make it a little bit faster for me there. A little bit faster for me to go through this fault. Just in case, it basically is just taking away the rest of the faces. They're not gone, they're not deleted at all. Just in case you need to get a little bit faster. It just hides it, that's all it is. That's so much better. you figure I would like it to. That's what I'm the features and snap scales. I think I'm gonna do this file. Bring down my Z intensity. Find areas right here. Good. So we're just little tiny scales. When the focus shift down, that's kind of like the flow on a brush in Photoshop. So there's a little bit of a sharper brush without as much of a fall off. So if you do that a little more. I like the kind of roundness it does give me though. When you start kind of building all of this up, you'll see you start getting something that's a little bit more like an actual lizard reptilian skin. Beautiful ring around there. So let's kind of work with that. Working at the eyeball. deflate. Lightly just go ahead, smooth out, and inflate like this. This way. So what we might be able to do is maybe we could stamp a little bit, just kind of around it. Let's see if we can do that. Use a small. If you look at here, it's kind of look like we got just very simple scales. Sure, it feels really simple. Okay. It's kind of wow. So that's kind of the video I'm trying to get. It actually folds down through. There's no fold in the skin. Like this. Alright. I'm going to change it from stroke drag. Maybe I can actually drag these kind of into position. And I keep a consistent size, which is nice. You That worked. That really well. Like that. I'm kind of leaving some open spots here specifically for when I need to put it in the pattern. I like that partial slice. This, leave it. Alright, I'm gonna click save. Baby's awake. So I'm gonna get distracted.